last week. I'm sure you're glad to be inside this week.
Yeah, last week's conditions, I could safely say, were some of the worst I've been in MetLife. And that those gusts of wind really, they got up to 35 miles per hour. So it's challenging, but obviously, kicking in the Northeast, that's something we look forward to at the same time. It's a cool opportunity to compete when the conditions aren't ideal. Having gone through that, yes, you're pretty excited about going back indoors and in a little bit more controlled environment, just in terms of wind and all that.
How would you assess Tay right now as he's, in the return game? He's obviously done more now. How would you assess where he is at this point?
Yeah, I think he's a top-tier kickoff returner. He's starting to see the concepts really well, so he understands how to set up his blocks. He sees space naturally, and obviously the natural athletic skill set that he has, you can't coach, right? The top end speed that he can get to quickly. He's done a good job taking care of the football. And just the more reps, the more time on task, I think it's given him even more confidence. So, it's cool to see him, have some explosives in the return game for a guy that, just started doing it. So he's very hungry to continue to do it. And I truly believe that our guys blocking for him also have a lot of belief in him, which there's something to be said about that, knowing that that guy can score at any point. So it's all 11 every time, and Tay's a big part of why we've had success on that unit.
What have you seen from Sauls since you brought him in?
Yeah, he's, like I said, I believe last week, he was a guy that I was really looking forward to working with at some point. I truly think that he has the ability to kick at this level and at a high level. And he's done a good job of understanding how we do things here, articulating how he likes his operation in terms of field goal holds, which requires everybody to be on point with that. So, he's kicked a little bit, and we've seen him a few practices, and excited to continue to work with him.
Jamie hit a couple punts very low, right? It was how much of that was by design, how much of that was just it's hard to kick in those conditions?
Yeah, combination of both. Like if you try and truly hit a ball up high in those conditions, when you're kicking into it, it's going to get blocked by that wind, and you're not going to get any distance with it. So there's an element to trying to knife through that wind with a lower hanging punt, which means there's certain mechanics from a punt standpoint that have to coincide with that. That's dropping it lower, holding onto the ball a little bit longer, and then making sure that your lines are right. And that allows you to still get a net that potentially flips the field in some regard, because those conditions obviously being there were difficult. But I thought he did a nice job. Being able to net 45 plus there in those conditions, I think is really good by the punter. So I thought Jamie did a nice job rebounding and having a good game.
I don't know how much time you got to spend with Calf when you guys were all coordinators, but what have you seen in him since he took over the head role, and what obviously it was a bit of a fire drill last week, I'm assuming. So just to kind of get acclimated.
Yeah. So Calf, number one, is a tremendous human being. I really believe, like, his intentions with everything he does, he puts his whole heart into it, and the players feel that. He's very even keel, and he's a great leader of men. He has a definitive plan on how he wants things to look like, but he's very he likes to integrate everybody's ideas into that, and ultimately his decisions. Those are things that we try and support as well. So I think Calf has done an outstanding job in this capacity, and obviously I truly believe that he has the ability to be a head coach in this league for a long time. And you're hearing that in the team meetings, just his ability to convey a message to the team. These guys play hard for him. He's very organized. It's everything that you want in a head coach, and that's obviously why he's had success as an offense coordinator and why he's going to have success as a head coach.
Why did you make the change on who was doing the kickoffs last week? Right?
Yeah,
that was last week, right?
Yeah. So number one, I think projected weather has something to do with that a little bit. Trying to make certain that Jamie's focus was when we had those opportunities to punt, we're on that, given that the circumstances weren't going to be ideal for anybody. And then also to keep Koo in the flow of the game as well. the lines obviously change when the wind is at your face versus the wind at your back. But generally, when it's windy in general and you're getting a crosswind, that also affects truly how far you can go, just because once you hit it up there, you're at the mercy of where that gust of wind goes. So it also kept Koo in the flow of the game, not knowing when we were going to attempt field goals based off the field position. And I thought it truly helped both those guys, Koo and Jamie, and I thought they did a nice job. Obviously, we want the one PAT back. That Koo knows that he can make it. We have tremendous belief in his ability to do that. Even at 48 yards, he has that mindset to do so, and we obviously got to execute in that situation. But I thought both guys did a nice job.
What happened on the penalty on the PAT?
Yeah, so there was a chop block called. The nature of field goal is there's no space, right? There's no gaps, so everybody's interlocked, and because they're interlocked, there's piles that generate when that happens. So we got to do a better job of really being clean with their footwork, number one, which will allow for a cleaner pocket. But the nature is there's not a lot of room for error when guys are foot to foot. So all it takes is somebody to get leaned into and they potentially lunge. And when they lunge, that's where the chop block was called. So we just got to be cleaner with our footwork to make certain that doesn't get called again.
Khalif Raymond was here a long time ago when he was a young player. He's established himself, I think, as one of the better returners in the league. What do you see from him?
Absolutely. Khalif is a dynamic dual returner. He has the elite top end speed that you want in that position. He has the short area quicks to make you miss. He's a dangerous guy with the ball in his hand. And he's obviously earned that credibility of being one of the top returners in this league. And you see the production show up every year he's been in this league. So it's a great challenge for our guys. We gotta make certain that our locations are right, our coverage fundamentals are right, and then ultimately bringing a guy like that down with good tackling fundamentals. So I think Khalif is a top tier returner, and obviously tremendous respect for him and Coach Phipp and Coach Campbell. I think they really do a good job just in terms of special teams in general over there, being aggressive and showcasing a guy like Khalif and other players on the roster.
What did Dalen show to warrant an elevation?
Yeah, so number one, he's truly a smart football player, high football IQ, has ability to learn multiple positions without getting all those reps. So there's a lot of value in that, both offensively and in the kicking game. And, obviously we've been high on him from a special team standpoint. He excelled in the preseason, so he didn't necessarily know when his opportunity was going to come up, but he prepared the right way every week. And when he got the opportunity last week, I thought he took advantage of it. Basically having 2 tackles with little to no reps during the practice week and studying his tail off. It's cool to see a kid like that have production in this league. And I know when his opportunity arises next that, he'll relish in those moments. So really cool to see him have success.